Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Adult Refsum Community Summerfest. I'm Dr. Diane Mitchell, the Scientific Director of Global Dare Foundation. My background is in genetics, and in recent years, I've focused on supporting rare disease research and patient-driven initiatives. It's a privilege to be part of this community and to work alongside many of you, patients, families, clinicians, and researchers, who are all committed to improving the lives of those affected by adult Refsum disease. I'm glad you're able to join me virtually, and I hope you find the session both informative and valuable. So let's begin.
Today, I want to take a few moments to walk you through our agenda and highlight some of the exciting initiatives we have planned for the upcoming months. We'll begin with the Natural History Study launch, a significant step forward in our understanding of adult Refsum disease. This study is designed to capture long-term data, help us map the progression of the disease, and identify meaningful clinical endpoints that can inform future therapies. Next, I'll be sharing updates on the Refsum Patient Registry and our efforts in genetic variant curation. This is part of our commitment to building a robust data infrastructure that not only supports research, but also provides families and clinicians with crucial insights into disease management. Following that, we'll discuss the Patient Collaborator Training Modules. This program aims to empower patients and caregivers to actively participate in research and advocacy, enhancing our collective ability to drive meaningful change. And finally, we'll move on to the strategic roadmap, outlining our vision for advancing scientific discovery, patient support, and community engagement. This roadmap will serve as our guide as we work together to improve outcomes for those affected by adult Refsum disease. I'm really looking forward to sharing these updates with you. Since this is a recorded session, you won't be able to ask questions live, but we absolutely welcome your questions and thoughts. Please feel free to submit them, and we'll follow up after the presentation. Thank you again for joining us. Let's get started. We'll begin with the launch of the Natural History Study, a major step forward in understanding adult Refsum disease. For those unfamiliar, a natural history study is a long-term effort to track how a disease progresses over time without the influence of a specific treatment. This is especially important in adult Refsum disease, where we've traditionally relied on isolated case reports and retrospective chart reviews. That means there's been no standardized way to understand how quickly symptoms progress, how they vary from person to person, or which aspects have the greatest impact on daily life. This study will help change that. It will lay the groundwork for defining meaningful clinical endpoints, things that we can measure to understand whether a treatment is working. It will also inform eligibility criteria and appropriate timelines for clinical trials, both of which are essential for designing effective studies and getting therapies approved. This effort is being led by our Centers of Excellence in Boston and London, where a newly funded research program is now underway. Dr. Florian Eichler in Boston and Dr. Radha Ramachandran in London are co-leading this international collaboration. In addition to tracking disease progression, the study will also support the development of standardized clinical monitoring practices. That includes consistent approaches to testing, follow-up care, and long-term assessments, critical steps towards improving patient outcomes and aligning care across sites. We're now moving into the early launch phase of our natural history study, and I'm excited to share how things are progressing. We've submitted the initial funding, and we're actively collaborating with our lead investigators in both London and Boston to refine the study questions and finalize the structure of the data collection. This study has two key aims. Aim 1 focuses on conducting a comprehensive literature review, specifically on the neurological and ophthalmological features of adult Refsum disease. This will help clarify what's already known about how the disease affects the brain and vision, and where the gaps in knowledge remain. It also helps set the stage for defining disease mechanisms and building readiness for future trials. Aim 2 will involve collecting structured data directly from patients through surveys and clinical assessments at our centers of excellence. We're working closely with our centers to ensure that the tools we develop are thoughtful, clear, and able to capture outcomes that are both scientifically measurable and personally meaningful to those living with adult refsum disease. Our registry has been live since 2020 and continues to serve as a foundational tool for understanding adult refsum disease. It currently includes data from 40 individuals and allows us to track symptoms over time, document treatment histories, and gather patient-reported outcomes in a structured, meaningful way. We're now working to integrate this dataset with information being collected through the natural history study. By bringing these efforts together, we can create a more cohesive and powerful research environment, one that enables us to monitor disease progression longitudinally, identify trends across different patient subgroups, and better understand variability in clinical presentation and outcomes. This kind of infrastructure also positions us for future success. A robust, well-maintained registry strengthens our ability to engage with regulators, academic researchers, and potential industry collaborators. It demonstrates that our community is committed, organized, and ready to contribute to meaningful research efforts. One of our key priorities this year is to begin the collection and organization of genetic variants found in people with adult refsum disease. A genetic variant is simply a change or difference in a DNA sequence. Some of these changes, especially in the PHY-H or PEC7 genes, can affect how the body breaks down phthalic acid, which of course is at the core of adult refsum disease. Understanding these variants is essential for studying genotype-phenotype correlation. In other words, looking at whether certain variants are linked to specific symptoms, age of onset, or how quickly the disease progresses. This helps us better explain why the condition can look so different from person to person. This information also lays the groundwork for future therapies, especially personalized approaches like gene therapy. Some people have asked about CRISPR, and while we're not at the point of applying it yet, tools like that require precise knowledge of which variants are present in the community. To support this work, the Refsum Patient Registry will soon be updated to include a way for participants to submit their genetic variant information. This is a vital step in making sure our community is ready for research, trials, and therapeutic development. Together, the registry and the variant data form the scientific foundation that pharmaceutical and biotech companies look for. They want to see that we understand our disease, that we can define who it affects and how, and that we're ready not just to participate in clinical trials, but to help shape them. Genetic variant data helps inform trial eligibility. The registry shows the scale of the community and tracks health outcomes. Combined, they give industry partners the confidence to invest in treatment development because they can clearly see the path forward. This kind of strategic preparedness is what allows rare disease communities to move from awareness to action and from data to therapy. This year, we're introducing a new initiative I'm especially proud of, the Patient Collaborator Training Modules. These training modules were developed with the idea that people affected by adult refsum disease can play a valuable and informed role in shaping research, not just by participating in studies, but by contributing to how research is designed and communicated. Many individuals in our community have shared that they want to become more involved in research and advocacy, but they don't know where to start. The patient collaborator training was designed to fill that gap, providing clear, practical guidance on key topics such as the science of adult refsum disease, how clinical trials are structured, and how the patient voice can be used to inform priorities and drive progress. It's also designed to help people better understand the importance of participating in natural history studies and patient registries so that they feel more confident and informed when contributing their data and perspectives. Ultimately, this training is about providing tools and context to support meaningful involvement. It's not just about learning, It's about building confidence and creating more opportunities for patients to engage in research in ways that align with their interests. The Patient Collaborator Training is delivered through 12 concise modules, each one designed to be approachable, accessible, and rooted in real-world relevance. These modules cover a wide range of topics that are directly connected to the needs and interests of the adult refsum community. We begin with the basic science of adult refsum disease, explaining the role of phytanic acid, the genes involved, and the biochemical pathways that lead to symptoms. This helps build a foundation for understanding both the natural history of the disease and the rationale behind emerging treatments. The modules also introduce the regulatory process, outlining how therapies move from the lab to clinic, what regulators like the FDA or EMA look for, and how patient input can shape approval decisions. There's a dedicated section on participating in natural history studies and patient registries. We explain how this data helps researchers track disease progression, define outcome measures, and identify patterns that could support future clinical trials. And finally, we include an overview of the gene and cell therapy landscape, breaking down the science, the current pipeline, and how patient engagement influences the development of these technologies. Our goal is to give collaborators the tools to ask the right questions, understand what's at stake, and actively contribute to research in ways that are meaningful, informed, and lasting. The training is delivered through an online platform, making it accessible to individuals regardless of where they live or how much time that they can commit at once. It's designed to be flexible and approachable with a series of short videos supported by follow-up activities and Q&A opportunities. After completing the core modules, patient collaborators are invited to take part in a range of engagement opportunities. These include joining disease-specific research working groups, participating in listening sessions, and community education efforts. The training features insights and guidance from members of our Medical and Scientific Advisory Board, including Dr. Moshe Bose and Dr. Joseph Hasia, both of whom have contributed significantly to shaping this curricula and have shared a deep commitment with patient-centered research. One of our key goals for the coming year is to develop a strategic research roadmap for adult refsum disease. This roadmap will help us define the most urgent questions, identify knowledge gaps, and set priorities that can guide scientific and clinical progress. We'll be working closely with clinicians, researchers, and patient advocates to shape this roadmap together, ensuring that it reflects not just academic or industry goals, but the real-world needs and experiences of people living with adult refsum disease. Some of the guiding questions we expect the roadmap to address include: what are the earliest signs or symptoms of adult refsum disease, and how do they change over time? Which biomarkers or tools could help us track disease progression more effectively? And what therapies, whether dietary, pharmacological, or gene-based, appear most promising, and what kind of studies would be needed to evaluate them? By taking a collaborative, patient-centered approach from the beginning, we can make sure this roadmap becomes a useful tool for setting priorities, aligning efforts, and preparing the community for future research opportunities. While the roadmap is still in development, many of the core building blocks are already taking shape. These efforts will feed directly into the roadmap and help us move towards a coordinated strategy for long-term progress. The upcoming natural history study will help us understand how the disease progresses over time and will be critical for trial readiness. Our plans for registry expansion will allow us to collect deeper, more meaningful patient data, improving our understanding of symptom patterns, treatment responses, and lived experience. The work on genetic variant curation will help us link genetic differences with clinical outcomes, which could explain why some people progress faster than others and support future therapeutic developments. And the Patient Collaborator Training Program will help to empower individuals to take an active role in research planning, policy, and communication. Together, These efforts lay the groundwork for a robust, multifaceted roadmap. This isn't just about preparing for a single trial, it's about creating a long term research framework that supports multiple approaches and adapts as new opportunities arise. We're also exploring opportunities to collaborate with researchers and advocates working on related or overlapping conditions. By aligning efforts across rare disease communities, we can share knowledge, leverage common challenges, and help accelerate progress towards meaningful treatment options for all involved. Everything we've shared today is part of a larger vision, one in which the adult refsum community is informed, connected, and actively driving progress towards meaningful treatments. Whether it's contributing to the registry, participating in a study, completing the training modules, or simply showing up to events like this, every action moves us closer to that goal. This work only happens because of your involvement. Your time, your experiences, and your willingness to engage are what makes this community so powerful. If you have questions, ideas, or just want to get more involved, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach me directly at diane.mitchell@globaldare.org or contact our team at info@globaldare.org. Together, we're not just learning about adult refsum disease, we're reshaping its future.